All right, let's now move along because I think it's a great segue as NBDBDBF is talking about Blake Snell. You alluded to the fact that we have taken time to put together our top 5 realistic starting pitchers.
Yeah, why don't you kick us off?
And so this is just to give you guys context. We're taking a look across the market if we're shopping at who the top 5 are. Now, we each have our top 5 gauged off of different reasons.
No,
and
my
we'll
number
explain
5,
why.
I'll tell you right now, is not going to be popular in the chat. I can already
We like
tell
that.
you.
Controversial and something different.
It's a gambling
is
move.
Making people think differently is fine. So we all agree that there are 3 names that, without a doubt, should be on your top 5. But according to some like NBDBDBF, one of these guys is not in your top 5, possibly. So we've got Aaron Nola, who's speculated at that 6-year, $150 deal. We all know what Aaron Nola brings.
He's going to get more.
We've got Blake Snell, who's rumored around that 7-year, $200 million deal. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 9 years, $225 million is what's been estimated for him
That's
as
horrifying.
a number. And those are the 3 that, without a doubt, we have to say are with the 3 of the top 5 starting pitchers out there. Let's take a look at their stats. Let's start with Aaron Nola. You said there's no hometown discount. Let's start with some hometown service here. Looking at Aaron Nola's stats first, because Aaron Nola is a guy that we've gotten to see up close and personal. We know what the fourth inning can bring. We know what the ups and downs, the frustration can bring. But Aaron Nola still, since 2017, the second highest starting pitcher that has played the most minutes. So logged over 1,200 innings. That's 1,233 innings that Nola's been able to pitch in. He's a worker. He's a vet. He's an ace. And Tyler, if you want to flash that graphic up, actually, we can talk through Nola before we move along into Blake Snell. He may have struggled at times, but he still had
that's a down year for him.
4.46 ERA. It is a down year for him. Finishing with 202 strikeouts. That's what the 5th season he's had over 200 strikeouts. That 1.151 WHIP. And for this postseason specifically, with a 2.35 ERA, 23 strikeouts, 3-1. Of course, we know what that one game was. But a career high 32 home runs allowed in 2023 and has not missed a start in 5 seasons. So again, going back to that number I mentioned, he's logged the second highest innings in any pitcher since 2017 at 1,233.
And that's what the Rangers are telling Bob Nightingale. The durability is worth big money.
He's like the battery commercial where they're like banging on the drum, the durable, like ding, like you already know what you're going to get from Aaron Nola.
Yeah, you can pretty much pencil him in.
He's predictable. Yeah.
What do you say, Will, in the chat? Thanks for hopping in and joining us today. Yeah. So where does Nola fall on your top 3 in terms of 1, 2, or 3? Like if you had your choice, Nola, Snell, Yamamoto, where does he fall for you? Because for me, I'll tell you right now, he's number 1. Aside from just the comfortability, I think the durability, the consistency, the big game kind of last 2 years for him, I have him first because Yamamoto and the money and the lack of Japanese pitchers that have successfully made the jump has got me a little bit scared. I mean, if you're talking 9 years, $225 million for Yamamoto, that's big money. And if that doesn't work out, that's a financial anchor on you for close to a decade. So I got a little scared off by him. So I actually had Nola number 1 on that list of the top 3.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I know people aren't going to think that's the sexiest, but I'll take him ahead of Snell and I'll take him ahead of Yamamoto just because as intriguing as that is, $225 million in 9 years, if it's in that ballpark, that is a huge gamble.
Yeah, I know. MBG, you're still on the Snell train, saying anybody
he's fired
who says
up,
Snell's getting blocked. You are so fired up on this Tuesday. You know what? I love comparing everything to a metaphor or whatever. So for me, this is similar to like the recruiting process that I went through as an athlete. You have the reach school, you have your safe school, and you have your fallback school, the one that you don't really want to go there.
My fallback school put me on a wait list.
Oh.
I got in every other school, and then the one I used as my safety school put me on like the wait list. And I was like, you're my safety school.
Well, your safety school is probably very on par to what many may call Blake Snell. You're supposed to be the safety school, but you might waitlist me, and it might not be great after all. I think Aaron Nola is your true right in the middle. I think Yamamoto is the reach because you really just don't know what you're going to get from him.
It's
Obviously, we've seen statistically what he's done. 3rd consecutive pitching crown. in the equivalent of what's the Cy Young in the Japanese league. He also has had that fastball that's tremendous. He's someone that is just 25 years old, and he really has broken onto the scene on the international side, but we haven't seen him in Major League Baseball. Here's the numbers for Yamamoto's season: 17-6, 1.17 ERA, 176 strikeouts, an 860 whip. He's got that mid-90s fastball. Sometimes actually I've seen high 90s as well that he can tap into. His splitter is the best pitch, and he's back-to-back Pacific League MVP, as well as posting an, oh wow, it's like the font's getting smaller. His posting fee is approximately, yes, 25. Is that a
25 million just straight up to his club. So and that's not even taking into account his contract. So that's 25 million you got to go out of pocket just to give his Japanese club.
He's the reach school.
And then you got to go 225. So basically it's going to cost the Phillies, probably between the ballpark of 225 million and 250 million to go get Yamamoto. I have him third of those top three. I have Snell second just because there's a track record with Snell.
So technically I didn't finish my answer. Let me actually answer because I was getting to a long way to give it a short answer. So I actually think Yamamoto for another team is the number one guy. If you're trying to take that next step of being maybe a deep run postseason team, or, you have to make a major change in your pitching, because he is, again, 25. He's got great command. He's got a great fastball. He could have a high upswing. There's a lot of potential there that we just haven't seen him, obviously, in the majors to know fully what that translates to in Major League Baseball. But you get him with the right pitching coach. You get him with the right team. I think there could be a lot of upswing there. But on the financial side, a huge risk. I think for the Phillies specifically, being one game shy of the NLCS, being that they got to the World Series last year, they don't need to make a drastic move in terms of a starting pitcher. Financially, that's not the priority to just lock in an ace. They need to have a starting pitcher that can be the number two to our Batman and Zach Wheeler, but also still have some financial capital and even, looking ahead, being able to afford some more bullpen arms. So I think for the Phillies, it is Aaron Nola. I said all that to agree with you, Jamie. But for other teams, if you're looking at, if we're not the Phillies and you're somebody else looking at this list, I think it's Yamamoto that's your number one guy.
Wow.
Tyler, what about you?
So I believe in transparency and honesty, and so I'm going to say two things, and then I'm going to tell you.
None of us have seen Yamamoto pitch.
That's number one. I've not watched this kid pitch.
Only what we read
second.
in the
not
stats
a single second have I watched this guy play baseball.
Page.
And I'm not even going to say I did in the in any kind of World Baseball Classic form. I've not.
That's what
watched.
opened a lot of people's eyes to him. The World Baseball Classic was kind of that first step that put him on the map in a big way.
Yeah, I've not watched this guy pitch. The numbers are good, like you talked about. He has an opportunity to be to win a third consecutive Pacific League MVPs in the running this year. He's won it the last two seasons. The splitter is filthy from the clips that I've seen. Now, granted, they're only going to show you the best splitters. They're not going to throw you the ones that fall flat.
You're not going to throw you the cookies?
I have no idea. I have no idea what this guy is.
You mean the highlight reel is not going to be non-highlights?
No, probably not. So that's number one. The next thing to me in transparency is I think about 8 weeks ago I tweeted that I would drive Aaron Nola to whatever city he wants to sign in. 8 weeks later, I think I'm a moron because at this point, I think that there is a calmness in a calamity of free agency that because you're not getting Shohei Ohtani, it's just not happening, right? That's everybody's number one. That's the gold mine. But
I didn't even consider him.
But outside in the next group of guys, Snell's Snell's ceiling, I believe, to be higher than Aaron Nola, but his floor is so much lower than Aaron Nola.
Sure.
And Yamamoto, to me, again, becomes that unknown commodity that if he succeeds in Major League Baseball, best of luck, and whoever signs him is going to get a damn good player.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure that I'm ready to commit $200 and some odd million to a guy that I've not had the opportunity to potentially see myself.
Yeah, and what's that going to prevent you from down the line? If Castellanos or Schwarber's gone in a year,
right,
and you need to spend on a left fielder, do you have that money? Mopar in the chat says, I cannot imagine Yamamoto getting 9 years. I can't either. But MLB Trade Rumors does a pretty good job in the offseason with this stuff. So even if he's not going to get 9, I think it's fair to speculate he's going to get probably 6 or 7 as a floor.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his agent probably are going to have teams bidding over him, and they can probably dictate a little bit. So 9 years might be a stretch, but even then, you're probably looking at something similar to what Snell and and Nola are going to be getting, and that's, you know, that 6 to 7, maybe 180, $185 million deal. That's a big pill to swallow. So, you know, there's a lot of risk involved with him,
A
but
lot of risk.
the numbers are nasty, and, you know, he's definitely intriguing. Like, if they signed him, I'm going to get Yamamoto'd up.
For sure.
But
Yamamoto'd up.
I was kind of stunned when I saw the speculated numbers, because typically with a Japanese player, like, you have to go out of pocket to pay the club, and usually their salary is way more manageable than that. To give a guy, you know, that 28 to 32 million a year or whatever it ends up being, I'm a gambler, but I don't know if I'm gambling with John Middleton's money there.